So as most of you know by now, earlier this year, my wife Courtney and I moved from sunny Saint Petersburg, Florida, back up to the Northeast. Don't worry about us. We're really excited about the move, and we were glad we were able to make it happen. But because we were going to be moving away from a place we had lived for 6 years, I kind of felt rushed to see some of the locations that I had wanted to see the entire time and hadn't gotten the chance to visit. One of them was Bananas Music. And I know it might seem hard to believe, but at least according to them, Bananas Music is the biggest record store in the world. Now, there is a little bit of a technicality behind that. There are 2 other locations that count as part of Bananas Music. There is a complete and total 2-story warehouse that contains all vinyl records. They switch in and out the vinyl records with the ones here at the main location. This main location is open a lot more hours than the other one. Now we're going to take a look at some of their Bob Dylan selection. And then there is a third location, and that third location is gear. So it would be a lot of turntables, a lot of speakers, a lot of stereo units. So when you combine all 3 of the locations, which are all within a couple blocks of each other, it is the biggest record store in the world. So there is a little bit of a caveat, but I did find that Bananas had a pretty good selection, especially if you wanted to find a copy of Empire Burlesque by Bob Dylan. They had that in spades, I can tell you that. Slow Train Comin', they also had a lot of copies. But I have a fairly eclectic mix of music that I like, and I was able to find something from basically all of my favorite artists. We're checking out the Beatles right now, and they had a decent selection of Beatles records. I'm sure they had a lot more in the warehouse. The staff was very, very attentive, but I thought it would just be fun to check out this very unique location. If you're wondering if you are a theme park fan, and that is why you mainly follow my channel, Saint Petersburg is about 2.5 hours from Walt Disney World property, and that's mainly because of traffic. It would be more like 1.5 hours if it wasn't for traffic. We'll check out some of John Lennon's solo stuff right now. Obviously, it doesn't look like my musical tastes are that eclectic, but you'll see it come around a little bit later, a little bit more as I look through some of the vinyl. I'm not a big vinyl guy. I don't have that much, but as a Gen Xer, most of my music is still on CDs. I'm not a person who does Spotify or Apple Music or anything like that. I do still like to have hard copies of albums, but most of mine are on CD. My favorite artist of all time right now, we are talking about Pearl Jam. Of course, I mentioned being Gen X earlier. I've seen Pearl Jam over 20 times live in concert, and I own all of these albums in some form or fashion, but I still like to look through them. The Cranberries, of course, everybody knows that I have a deep connection with my Irish heritage, and I even visited the Cranberries' hometown of Limerick. This country section was really, really cool. I love how they have just some of the decorations, some of the ambiance here. So it's not just a record store. Now we get the folk section, which is actually right by the country music section. So if you're ever in St. Petersburg and you are a music fan, I would say that this is worth maybe an hour of your time. You could probably even get it done in 45 minutes. It's not far from downtown, but it is a little bit of a drive from downtown Saint Petersburg. You could do it as a break from the beach. Now we're going to check out the hip-hop section. And I just really did love the atmosphere of it. Big Tupac Shakur fan, showing my age again, and Me Against the World. That is a great album. And the prices were fairly reasonable. Now, of course, we're going to go from Tupac to Billy Joel. I've seen Billy Joel a number of times in concert as well. Most recently, actually, was in the Tampa area, the Tampa Bay area. Saw him at Raymond James Stadium, where the Buccaneers played, with Sting opening up the show. That was definitely a cool experience. So I would say, if you're in the area, maybe you have a day that you're going to make a beach day that you tack on to a Walt Disney World vacation, and you want to get into some air conditioning at the end of the day, maybe stop into Bananas Records and flip through their Elton John's records and see if you want anything. I like and I appreciate that everybody has been sticking with me now that I no longer live so close to the theme parks, and I have been doing other different types of videos. Even though this was still from my time in Florida, this is obviously not a theme park video, so I appreciate you sticking with us. And do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe. Plenty of great videos coming up each and every week. And of course, every Thursday, a brand new episode of the podcast, Tall Guy Talks Travel with Rick Doherty. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for being here.